What can a signature CC moment like this do to sort of just quiet the noise and give you guys a ton of momentum? I don't know that the noise is ever going to be quiet. This is what Caitlin does. She makes big.
As the post-game question was asked, all eyes turned to the coach, and her reaction immediately stood out. There was no visible relief, no big smile, and no celebration after the dramatic win. Instead, her response felt calm, direct, and aimed at the growing criticism surrounding the team. Just moments earlier, Caitlin Clark had delivered another signature highlight, knocking down a deep 31-foot game-winning shot with just 1.2 seconds remaining to lift the Indiana Fever to a 78-76 road victory over the Washington Mystics. For a team fighting to stay on track, it was a huge win and a moment that seemed worthy of celebration. Yet instead of focusing solely on the shot, Coach Stephanie White used the opportunity to address the outside narratives and ongoing noise surrounding the team. Her comments made it clear that while the victory was important, she was even more focused on pushing back against the criticism that has followed the Fever throughout the season.
So, number one, a lot of work that she puts in. Number two, it's been a rough go over the last, 18 to 24 months for her. And so she's finding her way.
Clark has endured one of the toughest stretches of her basketball career over the last 18 to 24 months. And even her coach has subtly acknowledged that reality. After missing much of the 2025 season with a left groin injury, the first significant injury setback she had faced after staying remarkably healthy throughout college, she returned still searching for her rhythm. Entering Monday night's game, she was shooting just 37.7% from the field and 32.4% from three-point range, the lowest efficiency marks of her young professional career. Those numbers are a stark contrast to the player who shattered records at Iowa and became one of the biggest stars in the sport. Yet despite the shooting struggles, one part of her game never disappeared: her playmaking. The assists continued to pile up, even as the jumper failed to fall consistently. So when Stephanie White says that Clark is finding her way, she isn't speaking in cliches. She's describing a former Rookie of the Year working her way back, rebuilding confidence in form one possession, one shot, and one game at a time.
Steph, was that the play you drew up, or how much confidence do you have in Caitlin for that shot?
Well, Austin drew up the play. I mean, Austin does a lot of our end-of-game stuff, and it was what he drew up. We executed it perfectly. I think you see we've been in a lot of those end-of-game situations, and we've done a really good job of executing in those moments. And we got the shot, and C stepped up.
This is the moment that deserves a closer look. After the biggest shot of Indiana's season, the head coach didn't rush to take any credit for play. Instead, she pointed to assistant coach Austin and credited him with drawing up, while praising the team for executing it successfully. That immediately sparked a question among fans. Was the play actually designed for Caitlin Clark? On the replay, Lexie Hull appeared to be wide open in the opposite corner, and the inbound pass itself was anything but clean, nearly being intercepted after Mystics' defender got a hand on it before the ball reached his target. Clark later admitted it was the most open look she had all night and revealed that her hands were clammy when she released the shot. Hull also acknowledged the tension of the moment, saying she simply trusted the shot would go in. All of that has led to speculation about whether Clark was a primary option from the start, or whether a somewhat chaotic sequence ultimately put the ball in the hands of the right player at the perfect time. While White insists the team executed the play as designed, the footage suggests the final possession may have been a little less straightforward than the outcome made it appear.
I say this often, and I think sometimes we take great players and certainly generational talent for granted. And what she did was incredible for us. She's going to have many more moments like that. I know she is. And we needed this one.
We needed this one tonight. That simple statement reveals just how difficult the past few weeks have been for Indiana. This isn't merely a team trying to get above the .500 mark. It's a team that has been dealing with constant scrutiny and pressure. Much of that attention intensified after Indiana's disappointing 184 loss to the expansion Portland franchise, a game in which Caitlin Clark scored a season-low 6 points on just 1 of 7 shooting. She also played a season-low 22 minutes and was taken out early, spending much of the first quarter on the bench after a brief opening stint. By the time she returned, Indiana was already trailing, as opponents increasingly targeted Clark on defense. Criticism of both her play and the team's approach grew louder. The situation escalated further when a sideline interaction between Clark and head coach Stephanie White went viral, fueling widespread speculation about tension between the two. Some commentators even suggested there was a deeper conflict within the organization. Clark quickly pushed back against those claims, publicly expressing her support for White and emphasizing that the coach had been one of her strongest supporters throughout the season. That context helps explain why White said the team desperately needed this victory. The dramatic game winner did more than secure a win in the standings. It provided relief from weeks of criticism and helped shift the conversation away from controversy and back toward basketball.
Finding a way. Okay, really good job of finding a way. We started to expand that fist and then we came back together. All right, that was really good stuff. Now we know we got a lot of stuff that we got to work on, right? We know that. But being able to come away and withstand what we withstood in that run and to be able to pull together, get some key stops, shot C.
Yeah, good.
Great pass, though. It wasn't pretty. Okay, it wasn't pretty. We still got room for growth, a lot of room for growth, but great job getting a W on the road. You got that 3, 1, 2, 3. Together.
Behind closed doors, Stephanie White's message to her team was simple. It wasn't pretty. There was still plenty of room for growth, but they got the job done. Yet only minutes later at the podium, her tone shifted as she openly praised Caitlin Clark in a way fans hadn't heard in weeks. That contrast captures the reality of White's approach this season. Publicly, she has been measured and careful when discussing Clark, a restraint that fueled endless speculation about tension between coach and star. After this win, however, the praise finally flowed. White called Clark a generational talent and emphasized that many more big moments are ahead of her. The timing felt less like a calculated statement and more like relief after a difficult stretch. The victory itself was far from perfect. Indiana struggled offensively, surrendered much of its lead, and needed a last-second shot to escape with the win. But sometimes those messy victories reveal more than comfortable blowouts. Championship-caliber teams are often defined by the games where nothing comes easily, where defense and resilience carry them across the finish line. For a Fever team that entered the night at 5-5, still searching for consistency, and its first road win in weeks, surviving a tough game mattered. White repeatedly highlighted the importance of defensive stops, and even Clark contributed with key defensive plays late in the contest despite facing criticism for that area of her game. Indiana ultimately won through defense and one remarkable shot. The debate surrounding officiating also remains a constant topic. Clark did earn a crucial 4-point play earlier in the game after drawing contact on a deep jumper, but many observers continue to argue that she absorbed significant contact without consistently getting whistles. Whether that perception is entirely fair or not, the frustration among fans is real and unlikely to disappear. Neither is the scrutiny that follows Clark everywhere she goes. As White acknowledged, the noise may never quiet down. That's the reality of being the most talked about player in the league. Every shot, substitution, and sideline interaction becomes a headline. One buzzer beater won't change that. What it can change, however, is confidence. Clark finished with 19 points, knocked down 4 3-pointers, and delivered the biggest shot of Indiana's season at a time when her shooting percentages had been well below her usual standards. For shooters, confidence can be fragile, and there is no better cure than seeing a crucial shot fall when the game is on the line. If this performance marks the beginning of her return to form, the rest of the league will take notice. Questions about Clark's playing time are also unlikely to disappear. White again limited her minutes during stretches of the game, something some view as sensible management for a player returning from injury, while others see it as evidence of deeper issues. Winning temporarily quiets those debates, but another loss could quickly bring them back. The same is true of the rumors about Clark's relationship with White. Despite weeks of speculation, Clark has repeatedly defended her coach and publicly stated that White supports her as much as anyone. Moments from last season, including Clark enthusiastically celebrating after White received a technical foul, have only reinforced that view. The supposed feud has always seemed stronger as a narrative than as reality, and this victory makes that storyline even harder to sustain. Looking at the bigger picture, Indiana remains a team trying to establish its identity in a rapidly improving league. The competition is stronger, the spotlight is brighter, and expectations are enormous because Clark is at the center of it all. This one doesn't solve every problem, but provides breathing room, restores belief, and reminds everyone why Clark has become such a transformative figure in women's basketball. That brings the conversation back to the final possession. Was a game-winning play specifically designed for Clark? Or did a chaotic sequence simply place the ball in the hands of the player most capable of delivering in the moment? White insists the play was executed correctly, though the inbound pass nearly being stolen suggests the reality may have been a bit messier. In the end, however, the design matters less than the result. When the game hung in the balance, the ball found Caitlin Clark, and she did what great players have done throughout their careers. A play can create an opportunity, but greatness is what turns that opportunity into a defining moment.